Hello, it's Dr. Cindy again with this week's mental health moment. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at ways to use our responses to emotionally challenging situations to help us understand how our mindset about our worth and value affects perceptions and reactions to current experiences in our lives. I used the scenario of feeling criticized by a boss as an example of how the template that we develop about ourselves can lead to faulty interpretations of our interactions with others. This example is only one of many potentially challenging exchanges that can come up for us. Whenever situations threaten our self worth, such as when we feel someone only cares about us because of what we do for them, or like no one is truly there for us, or that people don't love us for who we really are, it is important to ask ourselves, is this actually true, or might it be coming from the story I've created about myself? And then assume it's always related to that story in some way. Remember that every encounter we have with someone brings the opportunity to reveal and therefore to heal old wounds that weren't sufficiently attended to at the time. As you tend to painful feelings associated with challenging experiences, you will discover that those experiences begin to lose their potency as emotionally charged events. The more you do this, the more your stash of upsetting situations starts to dwindle. It is the unresolved emotions that make us hold on to memories, as the brain views these as important information to retain in order to try to prevent pain in the future. Without the pain, the memory loses its importance. By comforting and soothing ourselves through the emotions of an experience for as long as it takes for that hurt to subside, the brain considers that problem to have been resolved and no longer needs to keep bringing it to our attention. So, as you transform raw, unprocessed feelings from the past, you start to declutter that memory closet in your brain because you're essentially discarding situations that you're resolving. They become unnecessary and irrelevant as they lose the power to make you feel bad, which is an amazingly freeing experience. I was pleasantly surprised the other day when the absolutely most embarrassing situation from my childhood popped into my head. Now, what made this pleasant was that for the first time in my life, instead of that memory causing me to recoil in horror, I literally laughed out loud. And my brain must have been shocked by that reaction because it decided it had to replay the entire incident in my head again, just in case I had missed something. But that made me laugh out loud again. So, what had been filed away as a humiliating and devastating event decades ago had transformed into a source of amusement. I felt so free of the pain of that story, I even shared it with my brother because it no longer made me feel bad about myself. And this happened very spontaneously. I didn't go searching in my mind, purposely trying to retrieve the memory so I could actively work on healing it. It naturally resolved on its own as a result of me developing the practice of tending to my experiences of emotional pain with caring and comfort. By tending to our hurts, we essentially communicate to ourselves that we are worthy of compassion, which can then repair our misperceptions of being unworthy or unlovable. Unless we do the work of processing our automatic emotional reactions, we not only file away upsetting interactions as grievances against others, but also as regrets about ourselves and evidence of our inadequacy. Those grievances and regrets are full of judgment, criticism, and condemnation of whomever we've decided the guilty party is, ourselves, the other person, or both. When we address the emotional hurt, it has the capacity to repair all of the grievances that we have held against others in our lives. And we become free from regrets and judgments about ourselves, which is the ultimate healing. In the absence of learning how to take care of difficult feelings when they arise, we've developed a great deal of fear about and aversion to them. We have this idea that a good day is one in which nothing registers as being emotionally challenging, such that even one difficult experience can literally ruin the entire day. It's as though we wish that we wouldn't feel at all, except, of course, for emotions that we enjoy. Yet, contrary to popular belief, we are not thinking beings that feel. We are feeling beings that think. Thought has become so overemphasized at the exclusion of our emotions that it has made us incredibly imbalanced as we ignore and neglect and avoid our feelings. And doing so deprives us of experiences that would actually help us be more connected to ourselves and would enhance our ability to connect with others in a meaningful way. Just as we perceive the world around us all day, every day through our physical senses, we also constantly experience our environment with emotional sensience. That means we are feeling all the time, whether or not we realize it. Our brain continually filters out and processes all of this information and brings to our awareness what it considers to be relevant for us to pay attention to. But again, what do we do if that involves a painful emotion? We try like hell to push it away. But if we're afraid of our feelings, we're afraid of ourselves. Because our self concept and self worth gets defined so early in life, it is important to specifically focus on trying to heal the emotional pain from challenging experiences when we were little. Now, people often tell me they don't remember much from their childhood. What is more likely the case is that whenever they think about their childhood, the immediate memories that come to mind are usually ones that have painful emotions attached to them. And since we're wired to avoid pain and we really haven't learned what else to do with tough feelings, the reflex is to quickly try to shut the door on those memories. But that still leaves those challenging experiences buried in the mind as unprocessed and unresolved emotional reactions that keep us locked into misperceptions of ourselves. To use the math problem analogy again, when we come up with a wrong answer, which in this case is that we are unworthy and unlovable, we have to go back to fix the miscalculations we made along the way so that we can get to the correct result. Any experience from childhood that we continue to hold on to as evidence of our perceived shortcomings will therefore always throw off that entire equation and continue to confirm in our mind the incorrect idea that we are unworthy. If we start with the right answer, I am worthy and lovable, we can more easily address any and all miscalculations that told us otherwise. Upsetting childhood memories are like snapshots that our brains took to help us remember the things that hurt. So we end up with this really crappy photo album that documents the lowlights of our lives and the worst things that have ever happened to us. And the titles we have on those pages can be brutal. Nobody likes me. I'm stupid. Mom hates me. I'm a loser. Some of those might come from things that were actually said, which we took to heart and believed to be true. Many are the inaccurate conclusions we came to as kids based on our imperfect attempts to make sense of our experiences. In either case, those negative judgments end up defining us as they create our mindset about ourselves. No wonder we don't want to look. But the child that experienced a painful event is still stuck in that place, essentially emotionally frozen in time, encapsulated in that moment with all of the distressing feelings still attached to it. That's why difficult memories from the past continually resurface. That child is crying out, "Can somebody help me with this? It really hurts." And it is up to us to set the child free. This may be a difficult concept to grasp, but inside we truly are still every single age that we've ever been. You've heard the expression that made me feel like a kid again. Well, that happens when a current situation connects with an emotional experience from childhood and essentially takes us back to that time in our lives. This happens much more than we realize for both enjoyable feelings and more challenging ones. Think of a time when you felt someone was treating you like a child. In that situation, how that person was interacting with you resonated with deeper emotional memories from when you were growing up, causing you to feel small and vulnerable and powerless all over again. Because the brain is so persistent, it keeps bringing back those same emotional experiences no matter how much we resist. Emotions really are like little children. They will first try to get our attention in fairly reasonable ways, but the longer we ignore them, the louder they get, until at some point they're engaged in a full blown tantrum, which feels incredibly painful and intense and overwhelming. So we often just intensify our old coping mechanisms in order to try to make them go away. You can see what a vicious cycle this becomes, and it can make us feel like a victim to our own feelings. But if we can trust that emotions are really just information and that their goal is to communicate to us something important about ourselves, then we can start approaching them with curiosity and discover what they're trying to say so we can actually give them what they need. In order to repair the unworthiness and inadequacy that we've carried into adulthood, We have to go to the source of those feelings and do the healing at the deeper level where they first originated. I propose that if we approach every difficult emotion as though it were a small child coming to us in pain, that will lead us to wherever it is inside of us that has an old wound in need of healing. Because in essence, each of those emotions is a younger version of ourselves communicating to us that they are hurt. Whatever the triggering situation resonates with will make itself known if we are open to it. And since the brain doesn't differentiate past, present, and future, connecting to challenging feelings from when we were little and responding to them with comfort and compassion essentially provides to those younger versions the emotional healing that didn't occur at the time. You don't have to dig through your memory banks to find this information. Those unhealed experiences reveal themselves to us if we stop distracting ourselves, numbing ourselves, and scolding ourselves for feeling the way we feel. Every time we do that, we deny ourselves this amazing opportunity to resolve what has been unresolved. It's truly like getting a second chance to take care of something that keeps causing us pain. So why not just go ahead and take care of it? So, how do we do this? I suggest establishing daily contact with the young person that you were. If you're feeling unsure about this undertaking, you can start by simply putting your hand on your heart and saying, I'm right here, multiple times throughout the day. You can greet that child this way when you first wake up in the morning and say goodnight in this manner as you are going to bed. And as you develop comfort with this, then spend more time connected to your heart as a way to start accessing information about your younger selves. By creating this daily practice, you are making a deliberate decision to delve into your emotional memories rather than waiting to be ambushed by them. And over time, you will find that the ambushing experiences occur less and less because your brain knows you are trying to take care of this unfinished business. It is also a lot easier to start this work as an intentional practice rather than when you are emotionally triggered and trying to manage intense and overwhelming feelings. Of course, it is also important to follow these steps whenever a current situation triggers a tough feeling, and doing so consistently will help the emotions not get to the level of being so challenging. So you would place your hand on your heart and connect to whatever emotions come to your awareness. Really allow yourself to feel them. You could ask, what's going on? Or where does it hurt? Now, your brain might try to get you engaged in thoughts about it because the old reflex is to try to think our way out of feelings. Especially be alert for why questions. Those come from your brain wanting to understand what happened, which can easily derail the whole process and get you caught up again in all of the negative thoughts and judgments that stem from the situation. It doesn't matter why a particular event occurred. What matters is what you need in order to heal from it, which is comfort and compassion. So, whatever experiences you connect to, respond as you would to a small child who is coming to you in pain, providing empathy, compassion, care, and concern. You might say, I'm right here. I hear you. Oh, that really hurts. You feel so sad. You're super angry. I'm so sorry. That's really scary. It's going to be okay. I've got you. Use whatever words you find soothing and comforting, but make sure they are framed positively, avoiding words like not and don't. And also make sure you're not responding with logic and reason to try to explain why the painful situation occurred. Again, emotions do not heal from logic and reason, but from comfort and compassion. You may want to write the words down to have them accessible for when you need them. If you don't have them in that moment, or if your brain tries to hijack the process by bringing in unhelpful, critical, or shaming words, keep it simple. Take some deep breaths and just tell yourself, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. When you first do this, the emotions might intensify initially, and you may have the reflex to try to shut down the whole process. Remember that feelings cannot hurt you, and whatever is coming up is an emotional memory from something you have already gone through. This isn't causing pain, it is releasing pain, and you have to feel it to heal it. Now, it can help to wrap your arms around yourself as you are saying the comforting words, and gently alternate squeezing from one side to the other. If you can picture yourself holding that little boy or girl as you do that, it can further enhance the healing experience. You might find specific memories emerge about painful events, or you may mostly encounter the feelings related to challenging situations. Either way, the goal is to provide comfort, compassion, and support to the younger version of you who went through those difficult times. If you find yourself tearing up, please allow yourself to cry. Crying is a natural biological response to both physical and emotional pain and has amazing healing properties. As you get comfortable with this technique, it may become more clear to you where a particular emotional pain is coming from. It might be the little boy who was bullied on the playground. Can you hold his hand and let him know you're right there with him? Or the little girl who got yelled at for making a mess. Can you hug her and let her cry in your arms? How might you soothe the child who woke up during the night to hear parents fighting with each other? Will you sit with the teenager who is crying in bed over a fight with a friend? How about the one who just failed a test or didn't make the team or is going through a breakup? What a relief it will be for each of them to finally be seen and heard and comforted, because they want that experience to be over and done with too. Close each session with your hand back on your heart and bring to mind a time that you felt loved. Really allow that feeling into your heart fully and completely. When that is the only emotion you are aware of, you are done. Imagine how great it will feel to finally release that old emotional pain and transform the experience into one that ends with feeling loved. You can do this whenever challenging feelings arise. And as you get in the habit of engaging with your emotions this way, you'll find that the process goes much more quickly and that it is easier to get to a state of feeling peaceful and calm. Even just putting your hand on your heart can become a comforting experience after a while. I've also put a link in the description area for this video to a beautiful song that I would really encourage you to play for those younger versions of yourself. Now, when my kids were little, they used to love when we would take the time to empty out their toy boxes. Because when we dumped everything out, we got past the surface layer of the toys that they would see in there every day, and we rediscovered forgotten playthings that had been buried below. I was always amazed at what joy this would bring, as my children truly felt like they had found long lost treasures. Similarly, when we get beneath the layer of difficult memories that have been cluttering our brain, we can discover enjoyable memories and experiences that we haven't been as aware of. By providing comfort to the child who went through the challenging times, we uncover the one who played with cars, trains, horses, dolls, or Legos. We find the child who splashed in puddles and swung on swings and chased butterflies around the yard. We see the one that played dress up and explored in the woods and built snowmen and had tea parties with the dog. We discover the child who loved to read, color, sing, draw, and dance. And in the process, we remember the love, laughter, enthusiasm, joy, and excitement that were also part of that child's life. The child who has been stuck in the pain of upsetting experiences has lived there long enough and deserves to finally be free of that burden once and for all. And so do you. Take care. I'll see you next week.